Good evening, guys. Very happy to meet you again.
Yes.
Some of you, well, no, all of you. I mean, Don, I met you on Saturday in Winter Tour, JC as well. Met, well, some time ago, but so you are the three guys which are public now, or the names are public, that are on the management or on the coaching side or on the athletic side of the Helvetic Guards. So tell me more about.
I mean, well, we're a form of the three amigos right now. So, but we're taking care of the sporting side, the performance side, when related to the athletics. So with Don's help, we're using his vast network and reaching out now to various options in the coaching market. Also going through the connections we have. And trying to see who has interest, and each day that goes by, more and more interest seems to be rolling in. But yeah, I mean, that's where we're at right now, and obviously we need to figure out where we're going to be with the head coach sometime, ideally in the near future, but we don't want to rush things either. And then once we kind of get that in place, we can start to make some of the other decisions that are part of that coaching staff.
So your mailboxes are running full. They are overfilled, I think.
Well, I think there's starting to be an inflow. Is probably more accurate. Where we're looking to put out a coaching and helper interest form in the next day or two, which should be a link that comes out via our LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, Instagram, and probably via Facebook, and try and get out to the football population for, to find out all those other coaches that aren't already in our network that may have interest and have heard of the Guards and the situation building here in Switzerland, and then from there, I expect we're going to be very busy.
So your first priority is coaching.
Yes.
Coaches at first.
Absolutely. Yes. That's where we're at right now. And we're trying to put the pieces together there and make sure that we have the right interest. And I don't know if Don wants anything to say there, but he's, like I said at the start, he's got quite a vast network that he's kindly sharing with us. And that's been a great,
invaluable asset.
That's great.
Well, too, Manuel, what has to happen is before you can start bringing in assistant coaches and players is you need to have your leader. Because obviously if you start bringing players in and assistant coaches in before you have the head coach, it may not work. The chemistry is so important, as you know, as we all know, and so really right now, that's where everything is going right now. And of course, with the president, our owner, he's we're going to give him as many options as we can to allow him to do that. And these guys know better than I do how it should be. So all I'm doing is I keep throwing. I think sometimes I throw too much wood on the fire too, and so for me, it's been very interesting. For these guys, it might be a little more frustrating, but it's been very interesting for me.
So why frustrating?
Well, it's just it's very delicate in trying to find the right mix, the right match. So
it's a chess game, right? There's a lot of different pieces. Each coach is different. Each player is different. Each person that's trying to find the right person has a different view on things. But I think collectively in the end we have enough football acumen between us and an ability to work, with the business side of things and find the right mix. That will be the right leader and allow us to build the right staff around it.
So I think you are going to have an American coach then. Or Canadian coach, whatever.
Yeah, I
North
mean
American.
That's very, very much likely the case. Of course, we can't commit to anybody or say anything, but I mean, it makes sense that we would go, to to where the heart of football is, and somebody with that, you know, lifelong experience. That just makes sense.
Sure. I think that might be an interesting opportunity for Americans to come to Switzerland. I mean, Don is returning every year now. I don't know if what happened that you really love that Bernese Mountains, or what is it?
It's such a wonderful place. I guess I've been coming for 5 years now, and I've seen such an improvement in the play and the coaching, especially the coaching end of it. And I'm really excited to see some of these Swiss coaches that we'll be able to attract too, to help with the team. And through the country, there's a lot of pretty gifted players. And so it'll be fun to try to build this thing. And for me, I just love it here. I mean, I just enjoy being around the people, enjoy the coaching part is great, because they're, at least the players I've dealt with, which I assume will continue this way, they're like sponges. They just want to play football. So it's going to be really great. I really think this is going to be a great undertaking right now.
Do you think you might have some spots for Swiss coaches as well? I mean, there are very talented coaches out there.
Absolutely, that's
Scaring the teams. Yeah.
part of our model is definitely about the growth of football, and that comes from coaching, as JC said already. And while we're looking at, you know, to bring in as much experience as we can, the purpose of that is to also have a counterpart that is a Swiss local coach in each of the positional places, at understudying at OC. We have some, you know, ideas, and we're going to have conversations with the SAV related to the national team and how we can really collaborate strongly together on the development of that team, and ideally provide an opportunity. Maybe, you know, these are things we have to discuss, but where there's maybe a situation where there can be a coach who's, you know, an understudy to the OC of an American OC or head coach here, and then able to take that and apply that to the national team situation, having a group of players that are familiar with the system. Not that every player on our team will be a national team player, but the thought is that
they're close to
it will be a strong predominance there.
And also with the coaching staff that we're trying to build up, we want to be able to get a lot of mentoring as well, because a lot of the knowledge from the coaches that we've been speaking to, that would be invaluable to different players. I mean, to different coaches and players in Switzerland
and programs.
Yeah.
I mean, I would expect that anybody who's understudying, mentoring, the experience of the coaches that we're looking at, that's an opportunity for them to really take back to their program and give back, and the Guards itself will ultimately create, you know, weekend camps, positional things, different things of that nature, where we're trying to bring in coaches, coaching training, player training, all of that is part of what we're hoping to do. And I think it's an opportunity to provide players, you know, a motive, a why. Why am I doing this? Allow a younger, more youthful group to say, oh, wait, there's an opportunity for me to be on TV. It's not just soccer. It's not just, you know, basketball or something like this. But I can do something with football now. And over time, will hopefully lead into an incentivized market where there's even, you know, pay for play, you know, as the league develops, as the team develops. That's where we want to go with things. And going back to the coaching where we started, I mean, our hope would be that we're kind of like 50% local coaches and 50%, you know, coaches with an immense expertise that are able to take advantage of that and pass this expertise on. So that it's part of a model, but let's see.
Ideally, we all would find a way or a model to work together. That it doesn't matter if you are on the soft side or on the ELF side. I mean, what happened in other countries last year was a bit frustrating to me, because that was not really a cooperation or a collaboration. It was just it was a fight from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, there's the staff, and obviously, like I said, and I'm part of the national team coaching staff as well, and I've been for some years now. But that's an important thing for me, and I think any player who is, would want to be considered for this should be also considered like as a national team. Playing for a national team should be a source of pride, and I think that there can be a really strong collaboration in that particular area.
Well, football's all about collaboration. You have 45 people on one team. They got to work together to achieve a common goal. So it's the same thing. It's just about working together to get football better, get the players better, get the coaches better, get everything better in this country. And that's what we hope to do with the Guards, to lead by example.
What's your view on the Swiss League?
Well, I'll start, and then I'll pass it off to these guys. I think there's probably anytime a team like this comes into the play, you have concern that there's going to be damage done. Now, when we go to the bigger view and we say, okay, what is the Guards doing? It's bringing opportunities to players. It's going to ideally drive football population and growth. More of the young kids might start playing football and push harder and be more committed to their environments, their local environments, to grow. One of the other things that we do is, because we are obviously looking to showcase the top talent in Switzerland, and mind you, we won't necessarily have every best player that there ever was, but ideally we'll end up with a lot of the best players in the country. I think what you see when you look in comparison to what Austria just went through with the Raiders and the Vikings just moving over into the ELF, those two teams were so dominant for the last 3 decades that I think there's maybe been 2 or 3 other teams that made a final in 25 years. But that league is highly competitive right now. And football hasn't died. It's just made it more equal. And I think would be my hope anyways, with how it would react. But I'll let you guys have a piece of that too.
No, it's true, because it'll make it more equal, and like you mentioned before, it'll give players a why, and maybe for some guys it'll transition the mentality from just being a hobby to something that they can actually get their teeth into, which will make it better for the clubs and so on and so on. So it will drive traffic in the youth to football and give them that opportunity to learn how to work with other people, how to deal with adversity, how to cooperate, how to find that goal and accomplish it. And with it being on TV and with the players being on TV, it's developing the local heroes, so then they can say, hey, that guy played for this team. That's really cool. I live in the neighborhood. Maybe I'm going to check them out. So it's also kind of a bit doing that marketing for teams that may not be able to do the marketing.
And I think also, and we also can take it further too, like with the opportunity to have some really, Hall of Fame and opportunity. I mean, who knows who, but really experienced NFL Div 1 coaches over here, and an ability to host camps and youth and get the youth involved, and just exposure to some of that kind of coaching. It can be very internally motivating to where you go with your future, right? Like, you meet Pelé when you're 8 years old, you probably going to work your life to become a professional soccer player, or meet Messi or somebody in more modern day, right? For me, it was Pelé, but so I'm aging myself a little bit.
Easy on you guys.
Yeah.
No, but Manuel, you got a good point. I think initially, like everybody has said, there's going to be perhaps a negative effect on the SOB. But I think in the long run, you're going to see this really grow. You're going to see a great expansion, because you're already seeing right now in the United States, there are more and more European football players, American football players coming, gridiron, whatever we want to call it, coming to the States. The United States has not discovered Europe as far as athletes. They really haven't, as far as football players. You have them in hockey, you have them in basketball, tennis. You have great athletes from all over the world. Not so much in gridiron football in the United States, but now they're starting to find it.
Yeah.
I mean, just from two, we have Danny Antulovich is playing for the University of Connecticut. Yeah, full scholarship. We have a guy at Johns Hopkins. We have a guy playing at Washington and Lee. And that's just our town. That's just the beginning. It's only going to get better. And I think just what Matt said and JC said, the ability for us to have camps, clinics, these guys that we're talking to now, this is what they've done their whole lives. That's what they've done. They've coached football, run camps, run clinics. We're going to have a tremendous opportunity to go perhaps all over Switzerland to different areas and do these things. It could be great. And then we have to bring in, like we were saying earlier, we have to bring in the assistant coaches or the head coaches from other teams to work those camps and also to speak for half an hour to a subject. And we'll get that'll happen. Trust me, that'll happen.
An opportunity to host maybe the best football in Europe and be a part of that, coming back out of these guys out of college might not give it up, or they might be more keen to come back and say, hey, wait, there's an opportunity for me there, and to really kind of shine. You can be a national team star right now and not really known, but if you end up being a star, a local hero on the Guards on television, every game, that creates a different environment, right? So hopefully we're going to be able to draw some of those players in.
Well, and already there's been some people who maybe have been out of the game for a bit, maybe in other sports, whatever, they're already reaching out saying, hey, I hear the Guards are going on. I want to come out. I want to see what's going on. So it's cool. It's pulling some people out of retirement. It's bringing some people back. It's really exciting seeing some of the guys who are contacting us like, oh, cool, you're coming back. Nice. So everyone will have their chance to shine. Everyone will have a chance to shine and go from there.
And really, I mean, you talked about Winterthur. I mean, you've got Jack Muntmeyer, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, who I remember from the national team, who's playing right now in Santa Barbara, I think, at a junior college. Yeah. Well, this may now all of a sudden say to him, hey, I have an opportunity to really be part of a professional organization here. He's there. It may, and Alan Schur, I'm not sure where he is right now either. He was at the University of Buffalo. I knew that. Yeah. But those are guys that perhaps look at it differently now and say, hey, yeah, I could stay over here, but I'm done over here. I can go back and play for the Guards.
And then with that, then there's a kid that hears that guy's story, like, oh, wait, he's starting in Winterthur.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's right near me. That's right in my neighborhood. Yeah.
I think we need to
we got to sell that. That's what we got to sell.
Yeah, exactly. You need to sell it. You need to sell it in the right way, and you should see the glass half full, not half empty. So we will lose some talent, of course, but we should be proud of every talent that we can lose to the Guards. So we made something right, the right way.
The more players that any team has with exposure, that's just a benefit for the local team, really. Yeah. Those guys will come home. They will be there. They'll come and watch local games when they can. They'll be on the sidelines. It'll be a draw for potentially fans at games when they're there and stuff like this. So there's a lot of ways to show that in the right light, I think we already see that here. I mean, with the GFL guys coming back to our games, coming to our practices, work out together. I mean, that's right. That works. Yeah. Of course, at the beginning of the season, you will miss these guys because these are the most talented guys that you don't have anymore. I understood that you are looking for the head coach. Maybe he's already in Europe, or maybe from the United States. You are looking for assistant coaches, maybe from Switzerland, maybe from Europe. But what is the roadmap in weeks or months for you? When will you decide? Well, this is
It won't be tomorrow.
No.
It won't be tomorrow.
this is a slippery slope question.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously want to get prepared.
Yeah.
And when we're talking and we're negotiating, but you know, lots of coaches are under contracts.
Yeah.
And they have, you know, things that have to be under lid until the end of seasons are finished, depending where they are in Europe or if they're in the US or wherever they happen to be.
Yeah.
You know, and then we have another sort of set of coaches which may be, you know, getting towards the end of their career or not under contract and looking for places. That there's such a variety of situations.
Yeah.
And
I think
to say we'll have somebody tomorrow would be
I
completely
think we'll
wrong.
make a decision at the right time.
Yeah, we'll make a decision
At the right
when
time.
the time is
Yeah.
right and the coach is right. I think we'll make
Yeah.
the right decision. So that's the good game plan right there.
My question goes in the direction: do we have to expect your program starting in October, already staffed, or maybe even later? Because
So
I
that's
mean, the preparation for a new season, for a new football season, I mean, we don't need 6 months for it, honestly.
No, and I mean, in October, we're hoping to have, you know, our sort of player combine, skills training, testing kind of event going on. The first weekend of
Mhm.
October
Yeah.
is our tentative plan. And, you know, as part of that, we're hopefully going to have this coaching interest form go out in the next 24 to 48 hours, which we expect have some pretty significant interest response. And from there, we're going to look at coaches and ideally, if they're interested, they can come out and help us with that kind of event and the evaluations, running the drills, all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. It also gives us a chance to meet them and their characters and find out what
Mhm.
works with what, you know, we're trying to put together. Because,
Mhm.
you know, there's different ways of coaching, there's different thoughts on it, there's different reactions, there's different tones, and all of those things have to be, like Don mentioned, kind of an ideal. You want a championship team, it has to be a perfect chemistry.
Yeah.
So
Chemistry is huge in football with anything. If you have a receiver and quarterback that have the right chemistry, you're unstoppable. If you have your O-line that they know each other, you're unstoppable. So we need to get that coaching chemistry as well.
Yeah.
With all the different levels so that it's fun.
Yeah.
Like it's hard work, but it will be fun. And when it's fun, then the work doesn't feel as hard.
Mhm.
Yeah, Manuel, to your point, you know, one of the things that happens in the United States is when there's a coaching vacancy. I don't care what level it is. It could be in a smaller college, a bigger college, the NFL, whatever. This is what you're asking is whatever. Well, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? What's happening? And until it falls into place, there's really no roadmap, like JC or Matt said earlier. You can't really say that by 3 weeks from now, we're going to have this all done. It might be done. It might not be done. You know, we got to deal with, I mean, we're looking at names. The names go then to the ownership. And then everybody sort of has to collaborate and say, yeah, this is a good idea, or, well, I don't know about that. And really that's kind of where we are. And, but you want to get it right. You know, like these guys have just said this earlier. One thing you don't want to do is 8 months from now go like, oh, I don't know about that. We might not have done the right thing. So it's going to take some, you know, there's going to be some angst. There's going to be some cuss words said probably in meetings saying, I don't want this, I want that. But it'll get done. I mean, I trust the people that are involved to get it done the right way.
Well, and it makes it all part of the passion because we're all passionate about the game.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? If you don't
That's
have
true.
that passion for the game, then you're like, I don't care.
football is a sport of passion.
Yeah.
That's a good term for sure. And I mean, Don's been in a lot of rooms over the years with conversations. So
Too many rooms. That's why my hair is this color.
He's 37.
Well, I'm 46 and look like you.
yeah, no, it's a big thing to solve, and you know, the Rubik's Cube wasn't solved in a day the first time. So
I'm just curious because, you know, there is also the roadmap for all for all the teams in Switzerland. They have to plan the next season. They have to know what players can we count on, what coaches can we count on. I mean, I would say 99% of our coaches are not on the contract in Switzerland. There's, I mean, there are, I think, 5 coaches in National League A who really have a contract. All the other ones, you can just, do you want to come? And they can leave. So that makes it difficult for the teams as well, regarding the players. I mean, if you have a player informing you in beginning of March, I won't be part of the team at the end of March because I will join the ELF team, that will be quite a serious problem. So I mean, if you are a local team, and if you have to plan how many imports do I need to fill all the gaps, and maybe now the gaps get a bit bigger than before, you really know what to do, and that will be quite difficult. I think that will be there will be some criticism. I'm very sure in the first month of the next year.
I'd like to start off on this one personally, and I think, you know, when it comes to the coaching, we were just saying that before we got on the call here. Obviously, it would never be our intent to strip down a coaching staff anywhere. I mean, that is, the coaching is, from our perspective, what we want to try to develop, not just player talent in the country, but coaching talent in the country. And yes, we definitely want to pick up a coach from here and a coach from there, and find the right mix. The other thing about coaching staffs right now is a lot of guys have jobs and families and different things like that, which don't, you know, even if the Guards is here and they would have an opportunity to be on our list, it might not work for them and their situation. But one thing I think we agree on as a program is that we don't plan to go strip out any team of their coaching staff. It'll be more like, this is someone we really think fits with us, and we'd like to give them the opportunity if it works for them. And then and same thing when it gets to the player stuff. We don't want to go and strip out a team, but we also are not going to say no to any players who want to come and try out. We'll have a handful of players, or a couple of handful of players that we really definitely approach and say, look, this is something we're interested in. But I would expect that we have a pretty good idea, probably already by January, February, which players we're discussing and training with and spending time with already. Especially on the local scene, because the local scene players we can do strength and conditioning with, we can do all that stuff. The Europeans are not necessarily going to be here. The Americans are most certainly not going to be here. But the local talent is where programs are really won, and that development, I think, we'll end up seeing more so that maybe we're working with, you know, 45 guys and 5 guys end up going back to their local team. I think that's more likely the situation than. I think it'll be more rare that a player in end of March, April is saying, oh, I got an opportunity to leave here and go somewhere else. I think if we're doing our job well, we're already working with those players earlier.
And with that too, the guys that will be going back will have gone back with all that off-season coaching, which could put them up on that level on the local team as well. So it's kind of that, it's still that they can.
Could be a win-win situation.
Exactly.
And obviously, too, we'll be talking to Claudio and the SOV people to make sure that we're kind of fitting together. I mean, we're not here, obviously, to hurt anybody, but we still, at the same time, have a commitment to the organization to try to win. You know?
Of course.
So, but at the same time, we know that the SOV is very important to us. I mean, we've all been in it, so it's important to us.
Let's talk about money. Oh no, you don't want to talk about money, but
I've got about 25 francs over here. I can loan that to you, but I want it back. Okay.
No, I mean, if you go to that one Wikipedia site, it's written in German. I don't know if there is an English version about, but there is. Okay, there are the 4 levels of players are mentioned there. Will you have that in Switzerland too? Like the paid Americans, that's clear, and the paid Europeans, and then maybe paid the Swiss and some Swiss that are just part of the team.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably, and let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We're not a developed program. We're not. This is all new, and we're working things out.
Yeah.
But the Guards is for all purposes a professional, semi-professional team. That's where we're starting. And as I said earlier, the goal is to with the success of the league, with football growth in Switzerland, with the success of our team, with the success of the media, is to eventually, if we have done everything right, become a full professional league, a full professional team, and provide real opportunities where players can fully live. Now that might be 10 years down the road, it might be 15 years down the road, it might be 5. I don't know how long that will necessarily take. But we definitely have our Americans, which mandatorily we need to have working permits for, which has requirements. We have European imports, which have certain requirements as well. And then we're going to have our local stars, which are probably guys that would, if they weren't here, they would be. And we have your local stars, your local heroes, which are guys that are most likely potentially already playing in the ELF, or potentially coming from GFL or from somewhere else where they already have sort of incentives. They've been incentivized some way, and those players. I mean, I had the opportunity to play professionally for a few years, and I came over to Europe and was one of those imports. Would I walk away from that for nothing? Probably not. I would probably stay as an import somewhere else unless I would have at least something equivalent. So there's going to be conversations that have to go on there.
Yeah.
And then ultimately we'd like to get to a place where, definitely players are not paying to play football.
Yeah,
They're having transportation taken care of, all of these things. So there's definitely scales. If you're a starter or somebody who's a backup, there might be some differences there. These are all things that we have to work out, but the goal is to eventually become a professional program, which is providing opportunities to 40, 45 local players.
Also, a cool thing is that there's a lot of Swiss players playing in the ELF and playing in Germany, and they have to move there for the season, but it would be nice if they could live at home, live where their work is.
Sure.
I mean, that's one of the great advantages we have is life in Switzerland. If you're able to have a job here, which all the Swiss people would be able to, and then also play football at the highest level, it should be a great draw, I would assume.
I think the big thing is that we have the opportunity to showcase Swiss talent from around the country, from the Italian part, from the French part, from the German part, from
outside
the Romanish part, the guys
outside of the borders too.
Outside, like guys who started playing football here and then went elsewhere. It's kind of like back in the day. What was it? Was it like 1858 when the Swiss Constitution made it so that the mercenaries couldn't fight for other countries? They had to come back and fight for Switzerland. So, of course, we're not forcing people. People always have the choice, but it's kind of that thing where it's like, hey, come home.
This is a good option.
Yeah, we're here for you. We're ready for you. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. There's your catch.
Way to go when he said come home. But think about this too. I talk to my friends in the States all the time. Okay. And obviously I'm going back tomorrow, but there's not a lot of knowledge about European football and Swiss. I mean, I'm concerned about the Switzerland because that's where I go, but there's not a lot of knowledge about it. And the ELF is a whole different animal. They have no clue to what's going on. It's going to be really exciting to see when it starts going back to the States.
Yeah.
And it will happen. I promise you, it will happen. It's only a matter of time. But he hit it right on the head. Come home.
Perfect. Gents, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.